37 games he scored in for Atletico Madrid, and they've never lost one of them. It was the only goal of the game tonight. Elsewhere, Borussia Dortmund have beaten Paris Saint-Germain. Thrilling game there. 2 goals for Erling Haaland in that one. Neymar equalised before the youngster smashed one in from the edge of the box. We'll show you those goals later in the programme. 2 games tomorrow, Atalanta versus Valencia, and we'll be watching Tottenham versus Leipzig here on BT Sport 2. Let's go back to the Neapolitano Stadium where we can hear from Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. They're both with Des Kelly.
Virgil, kind of an uphill battle right from the start with that early goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, obviously we know it's going to be a proper battle tonight, especially here with their home ground with the fans behind them, and yeah, obviously it didn't help that we conceded the goal at the corner, the first chance for them. Not even a chance, I think a bit luck, but obviously it counts, and yeah, it's tough.
And of course, Andy, you give them something to defend there. You stir the crowd up. It was the worst possible beginning.
Yeah, of course. I think the throw-in should have went to us before the corner. So, you know, the officials obviously made a mistake there. But and then, you know, the corners, it's just ricocheted, and you know it was tight, but you know it was onside obviously. And like you said, we've given them the kind of, you know, the best possible start for them, you know, to get the fans up behind them, and then they can start, you know, falling over and things like that, and start, you know, trying to get under their skin a bit, which, you know, I think we handled it quite well, to be honest. I think, you know, with them, you know, falling over quite easy and stuff, I think we got on with it. But you know, we know we're better than that. We put in a decent performance, but we know we can be better, and luckily we've got a second leg to put it right.
What was the message at half-time? The final ball wasn't a good enough ball in the first half, it seemed to us. Is that what was the message at half-time?
I think the message was just keep playing, play it side to side quick. There will be moments of danger and will be chances, and yeah, obviously we had the ball most of the game. Unfortunately, we couldn't create massive opportunities, but yeah. Well, that's what Robert said. I think we still have another 90 minutes to set it straight, and we should be full of confidence still.
As Andy said, they're masters at disrupting a game and disrupting the rhythm. That's been the problem today.
Yeah, but you know, I think that's the way they play. That's, I think, a bit of the Spanish football as well. So you have to adapt. But we knew it, and I think what Robert says, well, we handled it pretty well. Obviously, sometimes it's not easy, but yeah. It's part of their game, and we need to adapt on that as well.
We saw their manager's antics on the touchline, stirring up the crowd, and the big celebration at the end there, as if they'd won the tie itself. Is it going to be a similar story back at Anfield?
Look, that's what he is, you know, and you know, it's, you know, when you're not playing against him, it's probably great to watch. You know, he's full of enthusiasm. I think he was like that as a player and stuff like that. So look, we've got no problem with that. But you know, like you said, they've celebrated as if they've won the tie after the game. So look, let's see. We've got a couple of weeks to, you know, we've got Premier League business to take care of, and then, you know, like you said, they're coming back to Anfield. So we know our fans will be there. We know we'll be there. So it's up to them to come as well.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, could be very different at Anfield than it was at the Metropolitano Stadium, not the Neapolitano Stadium. I'm not sure that's an ice cream or a pizza. But they're the match that's 72% possession for Liverpool, but not a single shot on target. Says a lot.
It shows you it's not all about stats. No. You've got to make the other team defend, get shots. There's got to be your end product with your possession that you've got. But I like the tone of Andy Robertson's interview there. They see little things like that. They see the manager, the opposing team on the side, animated, almost rubbing it in your face. The fans, the players, over-celebrating. The tie's not over. They've still got to come to us. That steeliness, I like to see that, and there's still much to play for.
Simeone, animated? Never.
Slightly.
He out-Klopp Klopp in many ways, doesn't he? The two of them are very animated on the touchline. Michael, let's have a look. It was a long time ago that they scored. We never thought at that point that it would probably be the only goal of the game, but fell to Saul Niguez, and he scored many an important goal, as Darren Fletcher said.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nothing goal, really. As Andy Robertson said, it shouldn't have been a throw-in that led to the corner. Virgil van Dijk will be disappointed probably with his clearance for the corner, and then we've been looking at this. It's very hard to pinpoint and point the finger at anybody. It was, as I say, it was a bit of a nothing goal, but I was pretty impressed with Liverpool and their reaction after that, because, as I say, you can lose your head. You can think, we've got to get back into this game straight away. Yeah. These two-legged affairs are you know, you've got to be patient, and they were patient, and I don't think they'll be overly disappointed. Just look at Jurgen Klopp's substitutes as well today. He took off their two top scorers.
You're thinking 1-0's enough?
Yeah, Sadio Mane wasn't injured, I'm told. He was on the booking, and he left a little bit of an elbow when and Andy Robertson was right there. A few of the Madrid players were just surrounding the referee, so he might have been just thinking, hang on a minute, we don't want to get a red card and get out of this tie. He just played a bit caution. I think it was the right thing to do.
They've lost 6 of the last 10 on the road in the Champions League. What was missing tonight, Peter?
I just think Atletico defended very, very well. I think it was difficult to break down. It wasn't vintage Liverpool. We've seen them blow teams away this season. They weren't at their very, very best, but you just have to give Atletico credit. I thought they were fantastic in the way they defended, the shape. They pressed, and they just didn't give Liverpool a chance. But they still had chances themselves. So this is a real tricky tie for Liverpool.
It is, because we know that Simeone will shape the team in exactly the same way and make life very difficult. What is he does, Rio, and how does he get his players to play this particular way?
I think obviously on the training field he does a lot of work in terms of the shape and the way they recover. They might get beat 1v1, but they recover, get into the shape to make it hard to break down. And there's not massive spaces between the players. Look here, there's players there in the picture. They're all tight, they're all compact. And when it's like that, it's hard to see through the lines, to see your own players, because they're there, they're shielding the back four. The back four haven't been spread all game. The back four allow the ball to go wide. If you want to put the ball wide, let it go wide, and then defend across when you need to. So, but you're not going to come through the middle of this team. Very difficult to go through the middle of this team.
Like Crystal Palace with better players? Because obviously teams in the Premier League will play that way.
Yeah, it may be, you can say that, but the difference with this type of team, Atletico Madrid, when they get the ball, they can actually take the sting out of it a little bit as well. They've got players who can take the ball in tight areas and then get the team up the pitch. And like the guys were saying, they still created a couple of chances with him after being on the back foot for the whole game.
We were discussing this a little bit in the break. Simeone plays a certain way. The crowd have bought into it. A big club like Atletico Madrid, you need the crowd on your side, don't you, to play that way. You couldn't imagine any of perhaps the big clubs in this country, or Barcelona or Real Madrid. The fans just wouldn't accept that defensive style of football, would they?
You wouldn't get away with it at a top club. At a club that have got a DNA of passing the ball, of attacking football, you'd never get away with that. It's only because he's been successful he gets away with it at the club.
I think
and as well, they say it's a 4-4-2 system, but I mean, they play that deep that the two strikers are only 30 metres away from their own goal, so it's hardly an attacking 4-4-2. It's very much get everyone behind the ball.
Yeah, they thrive on being the underdog, don't they? Probably in Real Madrid's shadow for a long, long time, and they play this way, and it suits them, and it suits the manager.
How do Liverpool beat that kind of system in the second leg?
Well, listen, they've got the players to do it, and I know it's a clichébut getting them back to Anfield, it is a special place, and you know the unbelievable things we saw last season, you know, can replicate that again.
I think the confidence that what they'll take from last season is that the best team or second best team last season in Barcelona went there with Messi.
I know.
All them goals up and then get beat. That will be on Atletico's mind, by the way. They won't be going there thinking this time's over. They know there's going to be a tough game. The atmosphere, like you say, sucking the ball into the net. What they create there at Anfield is special, so it's going to be a real tough game.
Liverpool will need a clean sheet, though, you suspect?
Yeah, high tempo. They need high tempo. They need a bit of width because everybody knows it doesn't take a genius to work out. They are going to sit deep as they can, get as many men behind the ball and make it difficult for Liverpool. So it's going to need, as I say, high tempo, good atmosphere, which you can guarantee at Anfield. And I'm sure Liverpool will be all right.
There's a long way to go in this tie. There's no question about that. Brilliant and very intelligent young man indeed. Runaway leaders at Liverpool, obviously. Now, if you look at other leagues where that's happened in recent seasons, say Juventus in Italy, Bayern Munich in Germany, they've struggled a little bit in the Champions League. Perhaps once you've got switch off a fraction, you can't see that happening with Klopp's mentality, can you?
No, and the players that he's got in there, the likes of Henderson, Milner, seem like the drivers of that mentality, that concentration and intensity within that club, and I think they wouldn't allow that to happen. I think that's the big plus that they've got, I think, over everyone. I think a little bit, yes, they're going to have to still go for it in these games, but it's a difference when you're actually fighting tooth and nail to win the Premier League and win the Champions League. I think they're in a position here where they could win both, I think, comfortably.
The thing is, players and Klopp will always say, we're not going to talk about winning the league. They're not going to win the league. They know they're going to win the league. They do know that. I mean, it's almost impossible.
They've had a party already, isn't it? They've had one of their parties.
They must have had one. But Klopp's remarkable. It's his 250th game at the weekend, wasn't it? His record is staggering, really.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he competes and he's got a better record than the other Liverpool managers, but they kind of took over teams that were already very successful, whereas he took over a team that were less so.
They were coming, you'd say, under Brendan Rodgers. They were getting better, but he's taken... They were coming, you'd say, under Brendan Rodgers. They were getting better, but he's taken them on to an all different level. I think it's really good as well that Liverpool are going for the league, but they're going to be unbeaten all season. I don't buy this fact that you rest players in one and you go for everything in a way. And okay, you can have too many games in some respects, but keeping on the boil. You listen to some of the managers now after the mid-season players break, everyone's saying, oh, we need another game to get back into our stride again. When you're on it, you just want to keep going and going and going. And Rio will tell you that, fighting on a lot of different fronts throughout your career. And I think that's going to help Liverpool this year, keeping going for that unbeaten record.
I think what's interesting as well, Peter, is that when Michael talked about Brendan Rodgers and how close they got to the title, but then Sterling went, Suarez went. You can't see that happening now with Liverpool, that their best players would leave.
World football want to work under Jurgen Klopp, and that list that he's on there, he has built the club from, obviously Brendan Rodgers did very, very well, but not only has he bought top-class players, the recruitment's been very good, he's improved all of those players, and they play at the top of their game now. I'm
not going to ask the two ex-Liverpool players this, I'm going to ask the ex-Manchester United player this. Are we in for a period of Liverpool dominance, Rio?
Unfortunately, yes. You can't argue with it. I think you have to...
You never know in football, do you? If Klopp suddenly decides to call it a day in a couple of years, it could all change.
But it's that feeling of winning. Everyone who's a professional athlete, footballer we're talking about now, who actually, they aspire to get to a place of winning.